Have you ever just caught a mood from someone else? You walk into a room and suddenly you feel what everyone else is feeling. Well, today we're going to dive into the science of why emotions can be so contagious and why some of us seem to be wired to feel things just a little more deeply than others. Right? It's such a common experience. You step into a meeting and the tension is just, you can feel it in the air. Or on the flip side, you hang out with a friend who's over the moon about something, and next thing you know, you're grinning right along with them, not even sure why. This isn't just in your head, it's a real, measurable phenomenon. And there's a name for it: emotional contagion. It's basically the idea that feelings can ripple through a group of people, kind of like a virus, but for emotions. And the wild part is, it usually happens without us even realizing it. It's totally automatic. So, how does it actually work? Well, it turns out there is a surprisingly simple, almost reflexive process behind how we pick up on these emotional vibes. A few psychologists broke it down into this really neat two-step process. First up is mimicry. It's totally subconscious. If someone smiles at you, your face muscles might twitch into a little smile of your own. If they slouch in sadness, you might slump a little too. Then comes step 2, feedback. Our brain feels our own body doing that thing, slumping, smiling, and it gets a signal. It thinks, oh, I must be happy, or I guess I'm a bit sad. And then our actual emotion shifts to match the expression. We copy, and then we feel. So this idea got put to a massive, and frankly, super controversial test. Back in 2014, Facebook decided to experiment with the news feeds of almost 700,000 people. They tweaked what some users saw, showing them more positive posts and others more negative ones, all to see if they could actually change how people felt. And people were not happy about it. The backlash was huge, not just because of the ethics, but because the science was, well, pretty shaky. Critics like John Grohol pointed out a huge flaw. The study wasn't really tracking emotions. It was just using a program to count positive and negative words, and that program was basic. It couldn't tell the difference between I am happy and I am not happy. Both would just get counted as positive because the word happy was there. So after all that controversy, what was the actual effect? A change of just 0.07%. That's less than 0.1%. It proved that, yeah, maybe seeing certain words can nudge your own word choice a tiny, tiny bit, but real human connection, that's obviously a whole different ballgame. Okay, so if it's not just about words on a screen, what's going on inside our actual brains when we're face-to-face with someone? Let's look at the wiring. So deep inside your brain, you've got these incredible things called mirror neurons. And the way they were discovered is just amazing. Scientists were studying a monkey's brain, and they noticed that the exact same neurons fired when the monkey grabbed a peanut as when it just watched another monkey grab a peanut. It's like its brain was performing the action just by seeing it. You can think of these neurons as your brain's built-in social Wi-Fi. It's what allows us to connect. When you see someone laugh or wince in pain, your mirror neurons fire up as if it were happening to you. It's how we understand each other on a really deep, fundamental level, not by thinking, but by feeling. It's the very foundation of empathy. This all leads to a really interesting question, though. What if that social Wi-Fi signal is way stronger for some people than it is for others? Well, it turns out that's exactly right. For about 20% of the population, that's 1 in every 5 people, this is precisely the case. They have an innate biological trait that basically turns up the volume on their environment. The scientific name for this trait is sensory processing sensitivity, or SPS. And let's be clear, this is not a disorder. It's a survival strategy. In fact, it's been found in over 100 other species. All it really means is that your nervous system is wired to process information more deeply. So, what does that actually look like in real life? Well, people with high SPS, often just called highly sensitive people, are the ones who notice the little things, the subtle shift in your tone of voice, or a faint smell no one else picks up on. They can be more affected by things like bright lights or loud noises, and yeah, they're definitely more impacted by other people's moods. They don't just see feelings, they truly feel them. Now, to really see if this trait was physically real, scientists put highly sensitive people into fMRI scanners and showed them pictures of faces with different emotions. They wanted to see what was happening inside their brains. And the results were striking. When highly sensitive people looked at a picture of their romantic partner looking happy, their brains lit up like a Christmas tree. Specifically, areas like the anterior insula, which is a major hub for empathy, and the VTA, a key part of our brain's reward system, went into overdrive. Their brains weren't just processing empathy, they were experiencing it as a deeply rewarding event. But here's the coolest part. This intense reaction is selective. It's not like their brains are just an open fire hose of emotion all the time. The empathetic circuits were most active when looking at a loved one, especially a happy loved one. When they were shown a picture of a sad stranger, there was way less activation. It's a finely tuned system that prioritizes the people and the positive emotions that matter most to us. So what's the big takeaway here? What does all this mean for how we move through the world and interact with each other?
Well, for starters, it completely reframes what it means to be a sensitive person. It's not a weakness. It's not about being fragile. It's a biological trait, a different way of being wired that's all about processing the world on a much deeper, more elaborate level. And that can be a real superpower.
So let's just quickly pull it all together. We all catch feelings. It's just part of being human, thanks to that mimic and feel process. Our brains come with that social Wi-Fi, those mirror neurons that wire us for empathy. But for about 1 in 5 of us, that signal is cranked way up. And for those people, the brain's empathy and reward centers fire most strongly for the happiness of the people they love. This is more than just cool science, right? It's a roadmap for understanding ourselves and our relationships. It explains why some crowds can feel so draining and why a simple smile from someone you love can feel so incredibly good. So the real question is, now that you know this, how will you navigate all those emotional currents swirling around you every day?